Hi everyone, thank you for joining this fantastic panel, which I think is probably the best of the day and the whole conference. To introduce myself, so I'm 𝘂𝘀𝘀 and I work for the CNM. I'm an innovation project manager. The CNM is a French public institution that has been created to support and promote the music industries on the French market. Pretty recently, I'm going to tell you about the context and why I decided to build this panel with this three person here. Recently, we have released a study about AI. So not just another study about, oh, what is AI? Is it good? Is it bad? No. We wanted to understand what AI, or should I say, how AI will impact employment and jobs in the music industry. So we try to understand that. The study is free. You can download it on the website, on the CNM website. It's in French and in English. And we came to very interesting conclusion. And one of them was that we won't be able to get, to manage AI without education. And education and ongoing education will be one of the keys on how we will be able to get along with AI and how we will be able to get the best of AI without AI passing us by. So this is why this is the title of this panel session, Don't Let AI Pass You By, like how we can keep AI as a tool that we still manage and that we are not, that is not over us. So for this panel, I want to start introduce the three speakers that are along with me. Kimberly Dixon, founder of 𝘂𝘀. She is from the UK. We have Randy Nichols, innovation strategist at Force Media Management from the US. And Rachel Young, founder at 𝘬𝘭𝘀 UK. Maybe just a few words, like each of you, like to introduce yourself. Kimberly?
So 𝘂𝘀 is a platform that helps early stage artists develop. So we do artist development at scale. We essentially have created an AI music manager to help with strategy and monetization at the early stage of the market. So I think the reason why I'm here is because we do a lot around education and making sure that those artists can obviously get to where they need to go, but with the right tools and also right technology. So I think that's the perspective I'm bringing.
Yeah, I'm Randy Nichols. I'm an artist manager, and about a decade ago, I started advising a lot of different music tech startups, typically tools that help artists or their managers better run their careers. And I'm here because, one, I'm starting to use AI more and more in my day-to-day business. And I also came here because I saw it on the list and forgot I was doing this. And it sounded like somewhere where I could learn something. So hopefully I will share a little and learn a little.
I did remember this was on. Hi everyone, I'm Rachel. 6 weeks ago I left TikTok. I was at TikTok for 3 years as head of product distribution and monetization. My job was to basically build and develop products and services for the music artist community. The first one was SoundOn, which is TikTok's digital distribution platform. Launched that in the UK, US, and pretty much globally now. And also all of the on-platform tools and services, such as Add to Music app, which is an integration that allows users to seamlessly save songs from feed to streaming platform, and integrations with some of the biggest ticketing partners in the world. I've now started my own advisory business, and I help record labels, founders, investors build better products and make them more commercially viable. So yeah, thank you so much. And the reason I am very excited about this one is I am deeply uneducated. I left school a week after my 17th birthday, and now I'm very passionate about making sure that young people who want to work in the music industry, and particularly music tech, have pathways to do so, particularly those that aren't from major cities in the UK. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So let's set the stage. My first question will be, why do you think like AI is entering the music industry, but why would you say that it is crucial for professionals and not only for technologists? but for professionals of the music industry, why is it crucial to understand how AI works? Kimberly, you want to start? It can be for artists, not only for professionals. When I say professionals, we are in the music industry. It includes, obviously, artists, and you work with artists. So,
Yeah.
why would you say it is crucial for them to understand how it works?
This is going to sound bad, but I don't know how crucial it is. Like, meaning, I appreciate that there's a certain level that you need to understand how it works. There doesn't need to obviously, I mean, I've obviously learned about a lot about how to build models and stuff like that as well, using it in our company and everything at quite a technical level. So understanding, I think how I'd rephrase it is like understanding the implications of what they're using and why they're using it, I think is the most important thing. Especially from an artist perspective as well. It's like, where's that data going? What's happening on that level? And we've also got a background in law, so quite passionate about those kind of things. I think my opinion is that AI will obviously become quite an interwoven part of society, I believe. So there is certain levels of professionals that do need to know how it works, but generally speaking, it should become quite seamlessly integrated into daily processes, the same way in which we use the internet. That I think could be quite
but
interesting.
Like to go a little further, like what is the risk if a musician fall behind in AI fluency? Is there a risk for you?
I don't know. That was quite a hard one to, because we don't necessarily know the implications of what's going to happen next. The one thing that I would say with AI is that obviously it can't create, especially at the moment it can't. You have to train it on certain data sets. It has to go. There's certain things that you have to be able to do. So there is boundaries. Knowing that, understanding that, and leveraging it, I think, especially as an early artist, what we've seen is that they've actually been quite proactive in it and being able to leverage it, creating. So I think that has been quite good at accelerating their path and accelerating their careers, but it is still a tool. So whether they actually, I don't know, I think the implications in terms of data is also important, and what you're feeding it and what you're training on. But I can't answer the question of where it's going to go in the future because I don't know.
Brandy?
Yeah, so going to the first question of how it works, I feel like to a large degree it doesn't matter to most people how it works. It's really how it works for you. And you do need to understand some of the how it works, because if you put proprietary info in and you don't know that it's going to be shared back out, that's important. But beyond that, and again, the reason why I came to listen to this was to learn how people are using it and how we can integrate it into our daily workflow, because it is so important. And what was the other question you asked? Because I had something on that too.
If there is a risk that for industry leaders, if you fall behind in AI fluency, if there is a risk?
Yeah, I would say for industry experts or executives, whatever we want to call ourselves, there's absolutely a risk. But for musicians, I don't think there's very much risk. There's risk of becoming a specific type of act, and you could have done more if you had these new tools. But I'd look at it that the risk is that you played acoustic guitar, and when the electric guitar was invented, you never went electric, and you didn't understand how it works. You could still write a brilliant song and be a brilliant artist. So I think there's much less of a risk for that. But on the day-to-day operations in our business, we all take on, me as our artist manager, we're always overworked. We're always asked to do more and more for other people in the industry. So I'm trying to build out AI flows to just simply make my life easier and make me more efficient. And what will probably happen in time is I'll take on more business because I'm more efficient, and then I'm back to the same problem again.
Okay, Rachel, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think the biggest risk really is the missed or wasted opportunity more than anything. I think artists that are naturally more curious around technology, they tend to sit in certain genres, and that means that other genres sometimes get left behind because maybe the access points are a little bit more tricky, it's more difficult to understand. I think artists that are more curious tend to be those early adopters, and we see it time and time again. The early adopters tend to be the ones that benefit the most. So I actually think the risk for artists there are many, and I'm not an artist, and I'm not going to try and explain a way that an artist will feel about this, because it's incredibly personal. It's your art form, it's your feeling, it's your being, it's everything that represents who you are. But I think actually the risk for an artist is more around wasted opportunity or missed opportunity in growth than anything, by having or lacking curiosity and not being afraid to look into it. And it might not be for you, and that's totally fine. You know, using these tools, not necessarily generative, I know that's very, very different, but using tools that are adapting or changing the way that you create music, like from a production point of view, might not be for you, but at least have a look. I think that's important.
Okay, thank you. So we, as I said, like in introduction, like the study that the CNN released mentioned in conclusion that education will be one of the keys. Like we need to be educated about AI. You mentioned that when electric guitar appeared, like nobody knew how to play, it was kind of weird. Now we have AI, like so we need to get along with this new technology, with this innovation, almost like a revolution, more than just an innovation. So what would you say that would be like a good way for the music professional, the music industry, the current one and the coming one in the next years? How should we, in your opinion, like educate people, musicians with AI? What would be like for you like a good way to do so, Rachel?
I think educating artists is really hard, and it's very hard to do at scale. I'm sure you have a lot of experience with this, and particularly at ByteDance, communicating. If I park AI for a second, I will get back to it, I promise. Communicating product updates, even if those tools and services are free to use and will massively benefit them, is incredibly difficult. It's very challenging. Targeting them, finding them, particularly finding artists that sit outside of kind of regular arenas. They might not be part of a trade association, they might not be part of writing groups, they may be in cities that don't really, you know, that the education levels are different, that kind of thing. I think it's very, very difficult. So on its own, educating artists on things that already exist is hard. I think educating them on something that is maybe a little bit daunting and slightly scary because it's the unknown is even more tricky. I don't have an answer on how you do to scale education on something like AI. I think it has to come from a point of personal curiosity to begin with, for you to then find the outlets and the information and the thought leaders in the space. I think the music industry in general could maybe position it slightly more as an opportunity than maybe we're hearing right now. So it's like, okay, it could be big, bad and scary, and it might be, we just don't know yet. But you can have that opinion and also be curious around the good stuff that might exist as well. I know it doesn't really answer your question. I think it's just really tough to talk to artists. And as an industry, I don't really know why the music industry can't talk to their artists. I can never understand it.
Yeah, but I was not
Makes
just
no
talking
sense.
about artists, I was also talking about music industry, like in general, like, you know, professionals who work in the industry, like we all are using already AI, and we should be aware of the technology, how it works, how we use it, and all the perks, the good things and the bad things.
Yeah,
of
I would add to what you were saying, and I'm totally with you on literally everything you said, especially talking to artists because I do it daily as a manager. And the music industry is terrified of AI for the most part. I posted on my social media last week, oddly enough, who's using AI in your daily workflow and what tools are you using. And I posted that not because of this panel, because I got added to this after that, but because I was genuinely curious, what are people using to do their job? Not to make music, not to exploit copyrights, but to use to do my job. And I had some people from within the music industry attack me as if I said artists shouldn't be paid royalties anymore. And I was simply, you know, my question was really, how can I write an artist bio quicker? How can I alert my artist of the time they have an interview and use a tool to automate that so I don't have to look at my calendar and then call them? Like, why doesn't someone have a tool that will automate the flow from the moment I confirm a press interview with my artist, that they get a text the day before, the day of, and a half hour before all using AI by scanning my calendar and my emails to schedule it. And these were the kind of examples I was giving back, and this specific tool probably doesn't exist yet. But what I think is going to change the hearts and minds of executives in the business is educating people on tools that can improve efficiency and make their life easier. Right now, all we're talking about in the music industry are the people who are coming to steal our jobs. And that's not really the case. And if you look back in history, you had an era, 30 years ago or whatever it was, when Microsoft released the Excel spreadsheet. And you had people saying that they were going to put accountants out of business. And I don't think that one accountant lost their job ultimately because of spreadsheets. Now we just think of they're the people who are the best at it. So we need to, the leaders of AI, I wouldn't consider myself a leader of AI, but the leaders of AI need to do a better job of educating why we need tools that are going to help us rather than tools that are exploiting IP.
It needs a rebrand. It just needs a rebrand, honestly. You just reposition it to the market in a different way.
No, and just to react about what you just said, like the study that we released about jobs and like the employment in the music industry, like the study that we released, like shows that there is no job in the music industry that is in danger. Like no jobs will disappear. They will switch, they will change, they will be different, obviously, because of AI, but we didn't notice any specific job that will disappear in the next few years. Like no jobs will disappear.
I might disagree with you. And I'll give you an example of something that I'm working on right now. I signed a new artist for management for the first time in 10 years last week, small baby band, and I want to do an experiment of, normally I have a day-to-day manager who works hand in hand with me managing the relationship, and I want to see how far I could take it using AI to manage the day-to-day development of the artist with myself. But at some point, I will need a human contact, but I may be able to get to year one without someone helping me. So in that sense, you could see less entry-level jobs eventually, but you are going to need the majority of the ecosystem regardless.
Just on that point as well, you said about the accountants not being replaced, but I was just with my grandfather last week, and they are not taking graduates on; they're replacing them with AI. I agree on that point. I think there's going to be actually maybe nothing's at risk, but there'll be less of them. That's an entry-level things, automated tasks and so on. What I'm seeing on just from like a founder and tech perspective, I've got a lot of my friends are kind of, they're not in the music industry. They, companies and stuff. They're all looking at how to maximize their teams as best as they can using automated workflows, and those things will suddenly become agents. And then we're looking at like, where that's all, all the other kind of different generations of AI that are about to start coming out, and OpenAI with their next release as well has things around automated tasks and pushes and stuff like that. So I can see that there's a lot that's in the pipeline that's kind of gone past a point, to be quite honest with you, that I think it will improve efficiency. But I do think that maybe no job is at risk, but there might be less of them at certain levels. Yeah, it might be harder barrier to entry. And just from our perspective on the human touch element, we still have human monitoring. If we're looking at artist development at scale, I mean, everything's hyper-personalized to location, genre, and stage of the artist. But you have to manually go through that until it gets to a certain point, and then that's when we get to, some other kind of element, next level. So yeah.
I see the time. Until what time do we have? Quarter past. Okay, so we have 20 more minutes. There is a very important topic that I want to bring to this conversation when we talk about AI education for artists, for professionals. It's obviously everything related to ethics and to sustainability. We've been talking about AI since this morning here, and I barely heard any like nobody talked about this topic. Like during the presentation, from the startups presentations this morning, I didn't really notice anything like based on, like related to that. So this is why I want to bring that to here on this panel. Like I think it's crucial that we also educate people on AI and all the risks that it has. Like not talking about like ethics and sustainability. So I wanted to have your point of view, vision on this specifically.
Do you mean environmental sustainability?
Absolutely. Yep.
I think I haven't formed my own opinion on this yet, so this is going to be quite difficult to answer. But because it's changing a lot, and I think the difficulty I'm having in forming that opinion isn't because I don't believe it is absolutely crucial that we move towards a more sustainable planet where our children can live and work and enjoy their lives forever. It's not because of that. I think it's because it's become less of a priority, maybe different in different countries, particularly in the UK. It's become less of a governmental priority in the past 12 months because of other geopolitical factors. It's not on my news feed anymore. And therein lies the issue, because ordinarily I'd go, as a person who's quite interested in the infrastructure of technology, new technology, how does it work? Where does it sit? Where are those data servers? All of that sort of stuff. It isn't front of mind as much anymore because it's not in mainstream media over the past while. And I think that's really, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But that's why I think I'm struggling to form an opinion on it right now, on how do we make it sustainable? How do we use it and utilize it in all of these positive ways at the same time? How does it also not become incredibly expensive or detrimental and have a huge detrimental impact on, socioeconomic countries that are struggling, and the poorer people in the world? I think it's very, very hard to form an opinion when leaders don't have one yet.
I'll go. Okay. I'm with you on it's out of sight, out of mind, but the problem that we have with AI is people need it. If you have, you always have that friend who's like, I don't have a credit card because I don't want the government tracking me, and like all these, I don't want to say outlandish, but people who are trying to live a different type of life. If you're trying to be a professional and you aren't using these tools because of your fear of sustainability, you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. But that said, I think we all need to be concerned more with renewable energy and how we are going to encourage more renewable energy to allow these things to prosper. So it is directly related, but it's more so like I would say, you're a contradictory person if you're pro-AI but anti-sustainable energy. And I don't know what it's like in the rest of the world, but in America we have idiots who think sustainable energy is bad. So I'm dealing with a very different mindset in America. But it's just important to encourage more sustainable energy to keep up with these demands. And myself personally is just, somebody who buys stocks on the side. Like I've invested, a good chunk of money in companies that produce energy and ones that produce energy that are most likely to do deals with large processing, data processing companies. So my $5,000 that I'm investing in a company isn't moving the needle. But if everybody, as they're investing in stocks, is looking at who's providing sustainable energy, who's doing things that are going to move the needle forward to support this, that's what we need to think about. And it is important, the other piece, but I think that's the only solution, because not using it puts you at such a detriment.
Yeah, but going back to our topic, like about education, when cars were invented, it was fantastic. Like we could go from point A to point B. It was super easy, and we didn't, like people back on at this time, like they didn't imagine that cars or oil will, we will get global warming. Today we have a different vision. We have AI, we have this innovation, but we know that it's kind of harm, like for like it doesn't help, at least for global warming. It doesn't help for data center. It is like there are ethics issues with that. But so my question is again, how do we educate people, artists, for example, about these specific topics? Do you think that it should be like part of the curriculum for artists, like you as Kim, like as when you work with early stage artists, like do you think it should be important to educate them about these specific topics for them to use AI, like, you know, partially or
yeah, I think it goes back to the same point about how they're even using AI. I mean, we have such a spectrum of different people that either they really, really want to use it, and we have some really forward-thinking artists that are really leveraging a lot of the technology. And then we've already done a study on the term AI anyway, and they did not like that word. So even through to our marketing, everything like that, you know, having a music manager in your pocket is better than AI music manager. They don't like that term. Like, investors are different and everything. So that's the kind of education. So if you've got people that are one spectrum, they're on one side of the spectrum, they're doing that, and then the other side, you know, is really pro AI, then in terms of, you've got the same problem when it comes to talking about sustainability. Like, how relevant really is it for the people, like people at the earlier stages as well? And I have to say, like, even just from a startup perspective, but also I look at every single artist as a startup, you know, because they have a lot of similar kind of problems that are going on. There's a lot on your plate that you have to juggle and that you have to deliver, and consistently having to then keep up with things around sustainability. You're almost held ransom by the big, you know, you've got Google and so on, you know, Gemini and OpenAI, whatever else that you're using, you're kind of almost held ransom, because otherwise you're going to have to build that out yourself. So actually educating in terms of sustainability, I don't necessarily know how useful it will be unless artists are willing to do so, willing to put themselves in that.
Super quick, I just want to say, we're trying to educate people on AI, and we're saying it's a struggle. And now we're going to try to discourage them at the same time on the sustainability. So it's almost like different people need to be educated on different topics, but it's all super important.
For sure.
I think, look, artists just need to be able to pay rent. Like, fundamentally, they need to be able, like, if they want to be a full-time musician, being a full-time musician means being able to pay for your water, your gas, your electric, your rent, healthcare bills, looking after your kids. I think it's very, very difficult and to do it at such a micro level. And like we say, maybe AI and the term of AI needs a bit of a rebrand in the music industry. I appreciate it's very important. I think this will have a negative impact. I don't know if artists believe that, and again, I'm not an artist, I don't know, do they believe it's their responsibility to save the planet, or is save the planet number 3 on the list of things that they're doing when they're trying to build their own businesses? Whether it needs to move up the priority, everyone's going to have a very different opinion on that. Personally, I don't think it's number 1. It might not be number 10. It's personal choice, isn't it? It's so hard.
Finally, so I wanted to ask you, if we get this education right towards artists, startups, businesses, do you think that the right education of AI will unlock a different kind of creativity or not?
Credibility.
Creativity.
Creativity. I think in general the music industry tries to do. I'm going to use an example here of working with 2 fantastic universities and colleges in the Midlands in the UK. The first one is Nottingham Trent University, who have an incredible programme called 𝘀𝘀𝘀. They have world-class studios and recording equipment and incredible lecturers and incredible teachers. The other is Leicester de Montfort. I also think they have an incredible arts programme. I think in general, arts funding is getting less and less every year, and we talk a lot about nurturing early talent, nurturing new artists and people that will come and work in our industry. This needs to be part of that curriculum. But changing curriculum is incredibly difficult, and you have to find a champion within those education systems to do that. So we've spoken about the risk to early entry points, early careers. I think my bigger concern is in 20 years' time, if those jobs don't exist, where's the pipeline of our talent? Yes, they're enabled to create more. I don't know whether the quality increases, but we don't have necessarily the infrastructure to then support them with the staff that have done those jobs for 20 years. I think it's all got to come in balance. I think in terms of creativity, it's dependent on the genre, the type of artist, the way that they deploy and use a lot of these tools in their workflow, and understand it. But they've got to be very personally motivated right now to do that. We don't create an environment for them to do it at such an early stage right now. In the UK, that's a very specific example.
Kim, you want to add something on that?
Yeah, so I think also I'm a big believer in innovation. I think sometimes when we look towards the future, we kind of think about it as if it's going to stay as it is. As if we're dealing with the same resources that we have today. And what actually happens is, when I say I believe in innovation, is that usually where there's market needs, something pops up or something happens or someone caters to it. So looking to the future about, what is that really going to look like? What's the landscape going to look like in terms of jobs and so on? You can already see the analysts and all the different changes, and a lot more developers in the music industry than I feel like has ever been. So you can see that it will. I believe it will change. I think the landscape will change quite drastically, and I think the way in which artists develop themselves will also change, especially at the early stages, because they have to leverage these tools. The number one comment we get over and over again is, "I've just got so much to do and I don't know where to start." And so those are the tools that will help with that efficiency that we talked about earlier, not just obviously from a corporate perspective or companies, but also at such a small level. And there'll be more tools. We regularly at the moment have been teaching artists how to use tools better. Just like, Bandcamp, like how do you use it better? How do you use YouTube better? And so optimizing that education is also really important too. So yeah, I think it's possible. I just don't think we'll be dealing with the same thing in the future.
I'm going to pass. I don't even remember the question, and I'm sure we have a lot to get through.
It's about
And the answers were great.
If we get the education about AI right, do you think that it will impact the creativity of artists, like
Okay,
or creativity or culture, like in general?
All right, yeah. So I think it's just new. You're giving people a new bunch of brushes to paint with. It's, some people it'll make them more creative. Some people it will scare them off. And it's just like any other kind of technology. You have some artists who are afraid to use TikTok because it came out after an era that they're comfortable with. And I think it's just the right people, it's going to make them more creative. The wrong people, they're going to overthink it, and they're going to let it become a problem and stop them from doing what they should be in creativity. But my view is that same type of person that was going to stop is the same person that was complaining about TikTok, and will be the same person that will complain about the next technology. So creative people who love using new tools will be more creative.
We have 5 minutes left. So I don't know if there are any questions, like in the audience, like if you want to ask us or ask the panelists some questions, maybe we can do that, if you do have any. Nope, no questions?
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Which is the research that you mentioned,
Yes.
Javier. Where can people get that? So what is it called, and where do we find it?
It's on the CNM website, cnm.fr.
CNM is, for people who don't know, CNM is?
So CNM, I introduced CNM at the beginning. It's Centre National de la Musique. It's a French public institution, and we help startups, we help musicians to export and to develop. That's what we do.
And the research is called?
The research is called, it's a state of AI in the music industry and impacts on the employment or something like that. But what I would do is, Coralie this morning mentioned that there is a WhatsApp group, so maybe I will share the link to all of you on this WhatsApp group, so it will be way easier for you to find the study. Good point. Thank you.
And also you can use AI to find the research about
Maybe, but is it really necessarily?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. I can share the link. I think it would
Can
be.
I ask the audience a question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Since they're
of
not
course. I
asking
think
us
it-
questions. How many people are using AI beyond the basic ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, you know, the Perplexity, the main platforms? How many are using AI beyond just that initial level? Okay, cool. So we do have,
20%. 20%.
yeah. Should we ask someone what they use it for while we,
Yes.
if we don't have questions? Anyone want to share what they use it for?
I want to hear what you use it for. It's very interesting.
Actually, we are developing the AI system for. By the way, I'm working for 𝘀𝗵𝐴, so it's a collection rights society. So we have an AI team that we are building different systems for protecting our rights, and also we are basically trying to use AI to better protect the musicians. I can give you some example. We are working on the fraud detections, the algorithm that it can found if people not really paying the amount that they should pay. We are working on extraction systems. For example, when you have a conference or you have a concert, you need to send a set list. You need to say which kind of music that you have used. And this, most of the people take a picture and then send it to us. So it's going to be costing a lot for those CMOs because they need to pay someone to type it. So now with AI, we are automatizing this process. So
Can we talk about that later? It's a problem that we're dealing with in the U.S. that I want to learn more about.
sure.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to share what they're using it for? You.
I'm an artist and producer, so I use it in a different way. Maybe not so creativity, but to clear tracks sometimes, to, you know, when I get live recordings, to clear it, to use technology, but in recording way.
Sounds like one of the best uses and one of the best things to tell artists is how much time it can save you and things that will help you do things like that so you can spend more time on actually making music. And that might be the first place to start. But anyway, thank you so much. Let's have a round of applause for our panel. Thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much.